Sesión 4, plataforma Chartable, con Karo, Chakhlasyan.
Bienvenidos todos a la nueva sesión. Esta es la penúltima sesión del día. Después de esta sesión tendremos una sesión más al final, muy breve, de preguntas y respuestas para todo lo demás. Pero a continuación les presento, y si me puede ayudar Max a ponerle por ahí su nombre para que lo tengan identificado. Hoy nos acompaña Karo. Welcome, Karo. I'm going to explain them really fast what's going to happen right now. Lo que ha pasado ahorita, para que sepan, Karo tiene familia en Guadalajara, pero su idioma principalmente se habla en inglés, no habla en español. Poquito. Y entonces hoy nos va a explicar, hoy viene la carnita, lo importante de las métricas. Vamos a hablar de cómo entender una herramienta que es muy chingona, que se llama Chartable. Se la recomiendo a todos los que tengan podcast. Tienen que aprender a usar Chartable, y hoy nos va a enseñar Karo. ¿Qué va a pasar a continuación? Les voy a poner un video pregrabado donde Karo nos explica en inglés la plataforma, pero está subtitulado en español para que lo puedan entender todos. Como quiera, al final de ese video, Karo se va a quedar aquí. Karo is gonna stay here for the Q&A. Karo se va a quedar aquí para una sesión de preguntas y respuestas durante 10 minutos más, y luego vamos a pasar a la última sección de este festival del día de hoy. Entonces, Karo, thank you for being here. Welcome. You want to say any words before we run the video?
Gracias a todos por invitándome a escuchar qué iba a decir, y un shout out a Diana and Victoria and the Sonoro, and gracias.
Perfect. Let's run the video.
Hola, Festival Mexicano de Podcast. Mi nombre es Karo Chakhlasyan. Estoy un ejecutivo en una compañía que se llama Chartable. Como puedes escuchar, mi español no es la más mejor, y pues no te preocupes para explicar que Chartable es en inglés, y pues con poco ayuda, translations and subtitles, mejor puedes comprender poco más mejor que Chartable es sin usando tu cerebro para comprender qué palabras estoy diciendo. Y pues primero me da mucho gusto conocer a todos virtually, y quiero dar un shout out a Diego, Paloma, a todo el equipo de Festival Mexicano de Podcast, y obviamente a Diana de Sonoro, y siento muy orgulloso que puedo platicar con ustedes. Y como te dije, yo voy a empezar a hablar inglés. As I said, my name is Karo Chakhlasyan. I work at this company called Chartable. As you could see here, you probably know us from charting all the Spotify list here, in particular for Mexico, right? Chartable also does provide charts from pretty much most regions and countries in the world from the major platforms here. But today I want to talk about what else Chartable has to offer. So when you sign up for Chartable, you get your own dashboard here, as you could see. It's really split up into a few sections, right? So up here we'll see the analytics portion of Chartable. This is where you'll get your data for downloads, reviews, ratings, right? You could integrate with Apple Podcast Connect, Spotify for podcasters to see metrics like consumption, and Spotify provides some demographic information that would be helpful for you. And all of that is here in your overview tab. So as you can see, I'll toggle to one of my shows, Chartable Radio. You'll soon understand why we make software and not podcasts with the amount of downloads we're getting. So here you'll see downloads, right? Your reach, which are a number of unique listeners. This is all free, by the way. Your reviews, your ratings. Here you'll see what's called episode pacing. So it's the last 5 episodes with how they did on day 1, day 2, day 3, etc. Your downloads over time, location breakdown, player breakdown, right? You're able to see the same data on the episode level. You could see your consumption stats here, right? Again, this is coming from Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If I were to click on any one of these shows, you could see more of a breakdown of your stats, right? Downloads and plays for this particular podcast. Right, your consumption from Apple Podcasts and Spotify, how this episode is charted, your plays from Spotify and Apple Podcasts, location breakdown, and as I mentioned a little bit earlier, Spotify provides gender and age for your shows as well. Cool stuff, right? As I mentioned here, you could get your reviews. Our incredible podcast with 0 reviews, so it might be more interesting for you how we've charted. I think it's going to be the same thing. Yep, we haven't charted just yet, but I'm sure it's different for you. One area I think that would be helpful for many podcasters out there are our marketing tools. So this section right over here, right, marketing tools. The first item I want to highlight is what we call smart links. So Chartable is a podcast measurement and attribution company. And one of the tools here that we offer is what we call smart links, right? What this tool does is it allows you to know how many downloads a particular link generated. So I just clicked on this link right over here, and once it loads, you'll see this URL generated 233 clicks. 198 of them were unique, and it also generated 37 downloads, meaning out of the 233 clicks, we saw 37 downloads. So 37 people downloaded an episode of your podcast because of this link. So this is perfect for promoting on social media, any digital channel, right? You would use this link and you'd be able to see how many downloads you received because of this link. And down here, right, your clicks visualized, downloads visualized. Here you'll see your downloads by channel. So right over here, right, you'll see Twitter generated 20 downloads, right? And then right over here, let's see, Chartable.com produced a download for us. I assume we posted this link on Chartable.com. Here, a player breakdown, right? Right over here, which episodes were downloaded because of this URL. So it looks like our Dan Meisner episode got a few downloads. So as I mentioned, this is perfect for trying to promote your podcast on social media, right? You could create multiple links to see what's working, what's not working. Another, I think, popular thing about this tool, you'll see here, I'm trying to create a smart link. I'll select the podcast I'm trying to create it for, in our case, Chartable Radio. You have the option to deep link listeners to a particular episode. So if I did want to promote the Dan Meisner episode, I could link them to a specific platform, right? So that means when the user clicks on the URL, it would open up to the show page within the app. So basic stuff, right? Shortcut for the link. Down here, you're able to add a Facebook pixel. So if you are running paid social media campaigns on Facebook, you can place a pixel here to better help Facebook optimize. Right here, you'll see what we call smart rules. So these are just redirects, right? So if I were to click these 2 items here, any traffic from iOS or Mac will automatically route to the Apple Podcast page. Or I could just route all my traffic to Spotify. And so what would happen here is when a user clicks on the link, they'll be routed to the Spotify app, right, for your show. That is really how you create a smart link. So pretty easy, right? A few clicks, you'll be sent to the share page. You could add any Google Analytic information, right? Use different source IDs, so maybe Twitter ad, right? And then once you click done, you'll be brought back to the normal page, right? Where you will begin to see any data for any of the links you generated. So as you could see, the one link I talked about a little bit earlier, this Chartable radio link right over here, right? 233 clicks, right? And 37 downloads, like I said. And we already saw this page, so I won't review it again. But that is smart links. So again, I think smart links is an excellent way as you're trying to grow your show on social media or different digital medias, display ads, right? Newsletters, etc. By creating a smart link, you'll be able to see how many downloads were generated because of that. And another perk, you could instantly deep link listeners to a particular episode. The next tool I want to talk about is what we call Smart Promos. Smart Promos is our podcast to podcast measurement tool. The idea here is once this loads, if you are running ads on another podcast, you'd be able to see how many downloads that ad generated for your podcast, right? So again, I'm toggled over to Chartable Radio just to see how much data we have here. And you'll see, right, 0, but let me adjust the time window. And let's see, of course, we need more data. But the metrics, here we go. So not much, but I think it gets the point across, right? Up here, you'll see how many impressions were the campaigns that you ran. So up here is the aggregate of each individual campaign below, right? And so what metrics we display for you are the amount of impressions naturally, right? So these are impressions with your ad. Over here, you'll see how many unique conversions, meaning how many downloads your podcast has received because of these 41 impressions, right? So, right. And right over here, you'll see new conversions, meaning the amount of downloads from listeners who have never downloaded an episode of your podcast before. So out of these 41 impressions, we received 8 downloads of our podcast. And out of those 8 downloads, 7 of them were from listeners who have never listened to an episode of Chartable Radio before. This is very important. Most podcast marketing that I see today from many of the large publishers such as iHeart, Wondery, you name it, they use other podcasts to grow their show. And using this tool allows you to understand which podcast ads are driving the most downloads to your show. Now, what does a download mean? Chartable is IAB certified. Where's our little logo down here, right? So the way we count downloads is via the IAB V2 standard. So any download metric you see on Chartable, you could be rest assured that it meets the industry standard for what a download means. So feel free to sell based on these download numbers without a problem. The last tool that we offer here at Chartable, which is more for the sales side of things. So, right, pretty much like I said, we have our analytics dashboard, we have our marketing tools right over here. And the last item is what we call smart ads, right? So this is our, let me move this icon. This is our download to web attribution tool. And what I mean by that is we place a pixel. So let me go over to this pixel integrations tab right over here. We work with advertisers and ad agencies, and we place a pixel on their page. And it sends us different events based on what they want to send us, right? So a lead, add to cart, checkout, purchase, right? These are all items the advertiser will place on their website. And what we do at Chartable is we see of those who downloaded the podcast with the ad, so once this loads, how many of them, right? So you see here 244,000 impressions. Out of the 244,000, how many of them went to visit a website, right? And even more important, of those visits, how many conversions did we see, right? As you could probably get an idea, this is incredibly important for advertisers to understand the true value of your podcast ads, right? And there is no doubt in my mind, what we do is we highlight how great this channel is for advertisers. And before, it was always a blur, right? But with tools like this, you'd be able to prove to the advertiser that your ads are driving a ton of traffic and interest to their brand. So, like I said, Chartable is a full suite set of tools for your measurement and attribution, from your analytics to trying to grow your show, to try to prove the value of your ads to advertisers. Chartable does it all. And of course, we show you the charts as well. So I hope this was informative. I hope it was interesting. As I said, my name is Karo. You could email me at karo@chartable.com. And I hope to hear from all of you. Gracias por la oportunidad. Y mejor de un año te puedo conocer todos en vivo. Gracias.
Perfecto, el siguiente año definitivamente vas a estar en México en vivo para una sesión. Vamos a irnos directo con las preguntas. We have 10 minutes, tenemos 10 minutos, así que vamos con la primera. Okay, Laura is asking, what's the most important metric to measure for a podcast? What should I focus on?
Downloads. It's how you make money.
Descargas, que es con lo que haces dinero. Ok, la segunda, I'm going to say it first in Spanish. Chartable tiene un API de conexión para analizar la información con otras plataformas como Click y Power BI.
We could export the data via an S3 bucket.
Ok, se puede exportar la información en un bucket S3. Is it free? ¿Es gratis?
No, only for the exporting of data is really for our enterprise clients.
Okay, but they're asking if the platform is free. Que si la plataforma es
yes. Gratis. Yes. So we have a free tier, and we also have different paid tiers depending on the volume of downloads your podcast is receiving in a month.
Ok, entonces hay una versión gratis y lo puedes subir. De hecho, Sofía de Essence pregunta que cuáles son algunas de las ventajas de pasar al nivel premium de Chartable, y también por aquí Dark Wamba pone, which version of Chartable do you recommend to start with? Is there a trial version? La misma pregunta.
Yes, advantage to premium, your data updates more often. With smart links, you are able to create more than, I think it's unlimited from the indie tier and up. Basic stuff. You can invite more people, right? What I would recommend is our free tier. It's free, and it offers 5 free smart links, so you could just generate and play around with it, right? It provides like a lot of the analytic tools that we provided. So I would recommend everybody just to get the free profile. If you are serious about investing more money into your podcast to grow it, then I think it would require a discussion to upgrade. But for anybody, I think there's a free profile.
Perfecto. Entonces, resumen de la respuesta. conviene empezar con el gratis y una vez que empieces a ya sea recibir ingresos o tú mismo querer empujar a eso, pasar a una de las demás versiones, que desde la versión gratis ya te permite hacer los smart links que mencionaba anteriormente para poder ver de dónde viene el podcast. Entonces, empiecen con la parte gratis y poco a poco vayan avanzando. Alguna ventaja también decía que puedes tener información más actualizada. La pregunta de Claudia Gómez Karo dice, I would love to know if a podcaster could tell us how much does this information, what influence does this have on a day-to-day basis for content creation? And let me just remind them, where do you come from? Antes de que sepan, Karo viene de Wondery. Wondery, la productora de las más grandes de podcast a nivel mundial, y él le tocaba justamente ver también el tema de negocio de Wondery. Entonces, lo que les dice él no solamente es del lado de las estadísticas, sino también del lado de la creación de podcasts. Para quien no sepa quién es Wondery, en español hacen Guerras de Negocios y muchos otros. Así que Dirty John, etc. Entonces, now, can you please tell them what's how much does it influence this information to the day-to-day content creation process?
Yeah. One nice thing is the dashboard. You could integrate with Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So you could see consumption rates with one dashboard, right? And you're able to compare the consumption between different episodes in one place very easily. So from a content creator point of view, seeing the consumption rates between shows, I think is pretty important, right? And then B, obviously, it allows you to see and compare downloads per episode. So you could quickly know if a particular episode is not receiving as many downloads as another episode of yours.
Perfecto. Entonces dice, de entrada, que puedes ver el ritmo en descargas de cierto episodio y puedes comparar rápidamente en la vista rápida de Chartable la comparación de varios episodios. Entonces tú puedes ver de entrada si se está consumiendo a diferente ritmo cada episodio y puedes empezar a tomar decisiones, ¿no? A lo mejor un episodio fue en inglés y otro en español, o uno habló de deportes y otro de negocios, y puedes empezar a notar patrones y decidir qué tipo de episodio quieres seguir haciendo. Y lo mismo con las descargas, te deja comparar entre tu catálogo de episodios cuántas más descargas puede tener uno contra otro y te puede ayudar para tomar decisiones, y eso es en la versión gratis de Chartable. This is all in the free version of Chartable, right? What we just talked about.
Yeah.
Okay. ¿Cómo puedo empezar una campaña de anuncios en Chartable? No sabe dónde empezar una.
What type of ad? An ad to promote an advertiser, an ad to promote your podcast. So I guess that's unfortunately a question for your question.
Ok, José Manuel, si puedes contestarnos esa. An ad to promote a podcast, he's saying. ¿Cómo puedo hacer un anuncio para promover un podcast y usar Chartable?
Pues no preparas el anuncio en Chartable, solo que haces es mirarlo. So, por ejemplo, que compras un anuncio en Dementes y quieres medir cuánto downloads tú recibiste, porque Dementes tú puedes usar Chartable. Y ese tool se llama Smart Promos. I hope that was okay.
Sí, o sea, también por si no entendieron y más rápido, si tú pones un anuncio en mi podcast y yo digo, oigan, vayan a visitar Crónicas Obscuras, puedes saber cuánta gente visitó, después de escuchar mi podcast, fue y descargó Crónicas Obscuras, aunque no le haya picado ningún enlace. O sea, solamente por detectar a través de Chartable, que detecta que un IP de un celular o un dispositivo escuchó Dementes y al poco tiempo después escuchó ese otro podcast. Entonces así lo mides y puedes saber si valió la pena o no valió la pena esa inversión que hiciste. Es súper poderoso lo de Chartable. Estoy muy emocionado con todo lo que he descubierto a través de ahí.
Gracias.
We have time for one more question. Una pregunta más, ¿ok? That one's a really good question. ¿Cómo podemos saber si Chartable es seguro para nuestras contraseñas de Apple Podcasts y de Spotify?
Yes. Security and privacy is the most important thing for a data company. Our security procedure and privacy policy is located on our website. It's incredibly thorough. You know, of course, it's a bad answer to say, do you trust or can you trust us? But I assure you, those items are the most important things for our company.
Chingón. La traducción de esto es para una empresa de seguridad y de información, para una empresa de información y tecnología lo más importante es la seguridad y entonces obviamente sabe que es difícil pedirte, oye, pues nada más confía en nosotros, pero tienen todos los protocolos instalados para poder cuidar tu información y de hecho yo uso Chartable y yo sé por ejemplo que Apple Podcast te pide una autenticación de 2 pasos, entonces también es una cosa y Spotify según recuerdo haces una integración, no dices tal cual tus datos. It's an integration, right? What you do with your...
No, it's the same thing. Like you log in with your profile.
Okay. So we're running out of time. Anything else that we should know, Karo, before we close this session?
You have to know where your downloads are coming from. That's simple. I mean, whether it's via social media, another podcast, you need to know. It's important. I saw the question because that's how you make money, at least in the US market. More downloads you have, right? You are trading the downloads for the dollars, right? So if you want to grow your podcast and you want to invest money in your podcast, you need to know how much each download is costing you. So then you could sell it for more money and not lose money, right? So I would highly recommend focusing in on understanding where your downloads are coming from and why. Once you have that information, you can make better decisions to continue to grow your podcast.
Perfect. Resumen, las descargas son dinero, entonces entre más descargas tienes, eso lo cambias por dólares y tienes que saber la segunda parte de su respuesta, tienes que saber de dónde vienen esas descargas para que tú sepas en qué está tu dinero. Ahorita, terminando esa sesión, en la sesión de aprendizajes, si quieren, podemos tocar un poquito ese tema. Yo ya tuve una llamada con Karo antes donde me explicó toda la plataforma, entonces si quieren, les puedo explicar un poco más a fondo cómo funciona Smart Ads y Smart Links, por si quedan con la duda. Entonces, we're going to close for right now the session. Karo,
yes.
Thank you very much for your time. We're going to have for sure another session somewhere later in maybe this year or next year, just to talk about metrics and charts and how to help people maybe on board. All right?
Right. Gracias a todos. Thank you so much. And I hope it wasn't boring.
No, me encantó. Gracias a todos y con esto cerramos. Thank you, Karo. Vamos a la última sesión, que es la sesión de aprendizajes. Vamos a hacer un resumen rápido de todo lo que vimos en el día y sesión de preguntas y respuestas para cerrar el día 1 y pasar al día 2. Así que no se vayan, empezamos en 2 minutos nada más. Cortamos y en 2 minutos empezamos otra vez. Vamos, Max.